The world is full of wonders, some seen with our eyes and others only with our minds. Consider the great King David, a ruler known for his wisdom and his deep connection to the mysteries of the world. One quiet evening, as the sun dipped below the hills of Jerusalem on this day, July 13th, 2025, he did not see the world as it was, but as it could be. A vision unfolded before him, not of armies or of gold, but of an intricate and delicate dance of life. He saw a future time, a world both familiar and strange, where the smallest of actions could send tremors across the fabric of existence itself. It was a profound and humbling sight, one that would reveal the hidden connections that bind all things together in a single magnificent tapestry. In this extraordinary vision, the king's focus was drawn to a single family. He saw a man named Nathan, a soul of quiet strength and gentle purpose whose destiny was intertwined with a woman of immense significance. Her name was Ruth. She was not a queen or a warrior, but she held a power far greater than any earthly kingdom. The vision showed her holding 3 ancient ornate keys. These were not keys to simple doors or treasure chests. The vision whispered to David that one key unlocked the gates of heaven, another the depths of hell, and the third the silent, waiting expanse of the abyss. It was an awesome responsibility placed in the hands of one seemingly ordinary woman, suggesting that true power lies not in might but in balance and choice. The vision was not merely about people, it was about the very environment they inhabited. As David watched, a most peculiar phenomenon began to occur. Frogs, simple amphibians of pond and stream, started to appear everywhere. They were on the doorsteps of homes, in the marketplaces, and along the dusty roads. They did not seem to be a plague or a nuisance, but rather observers. They sat with their glistening eyes, a silent, watchful audience to the unfolding human drama. Their presence was a puzzle, a symbol that the natural world was deeply and inextricably linked to the spiritual events taking place. Each croak seemed to be a note in a much larger, unseen symphony. This world shown to David was humming with a life force that connected everything. The air itself seemed to vibrate with untold stories and possibilities. The presence of Ruth and her mystical keys suggested that humanity stood at a crossroads, holding the potential for great harmony or devastating discord. The frogs, in their silent ubiquity, served as a constant reminder that nature itself was bearing witness. They were the pulse of the earth, a living metronome counting the beats of destiny. King David understood that this vision was not just a glimpse of the future. It was a lesson about the delicate, interconnected web of life, in which every single thread, no matter how small, has a vital role to play. The figures of Nathan and Ruth were central to the king's vision, standing as pillars in this strange and prophetic landscape. Nathan was born to Ruth, and their bond was one of profound importance. A connection that seemed to anchor the very balance of the world David was witnessing. Ruth, with her keys to heaven, hell, and the abyss, represented a focal point of immense potential energy. She was not a judge, but a gateway. Her choices, her state of being, and her very essence held the power to open pathways to creation or to chaos. The vision implied that her influence was not wielded through commands or decrees, but through her very existence, a quiet yet powerful force in the universe. The frogs continued their silent vigil, their numbers growing, becoming an undeniable feature of this visionary world. They were not chaotic or disruptive. Instead, they seemed to be a living, breathing part of the scenery, as natural as the trees and the stones. Their presence posed a question: why frogs? These creatures are born of water and live on land, bridging 2 different realms. Perhaps they were symbolic of the connection between the physical and the spiritual worlds, a living testament to the idea that there is no true separation between them. They were the quiet observers, the chorus in this grand play, their croaks forming a steady, rhythmic hum beneath the surface of events. King David watched intently, sensing that the key to understanding lay in the interaction between these elements. He saw Ruth walking through a garden, the keys hanging from her belt, chiming softly with each step. As she passed, the frogs would turn their heads in unison, their throaty calls rising and falling in a gentle rhythm that seemed to match the cadence of her movement. It was as if they were attuned to her, responding to her presence as flowers respond to the sun. This subtle interaction hinted at a deeper connection, a form of communication that transcended words and was based instead on pure resonance and harmony. This vision suggested a world governed by unseen forces where individuals like Ruth could act as conduits for incredible power. Her calm demeanor and gentle nature seemed to be the very thing that kept the immense forces she controlled in a state of equilibrium. The frogs, in turn, were not just animals, they were indicators of this balance. Their peaceful, rhythmic chorus was a sign that all was well, that the world was in a state of harmony. King David began to suspect that the frogs were more than mere symbols. They were perhaps instruments, measuring the very frequency of the world around them and reflecting its state through their collective song. The vision then focused on a single, powerful moment of instruction. David saw one small frog sitting by the edge of a perfectly still puddle of water. The scene was serene, a miniature world of peace. The frog let out a croak, a single resonant sound that seemed perfectly attuned to the evening air and the quiet hum of the earth. As the sound wave left its body, the ripples that formed in the puddle were not chaotic splashes. Instead, they moved with an impossible grace. The concentric circles spread outwards for a moment, then miraculously they reversed, flowing back towards the frog as if drawn to their source, leaving the water perfectly still once more. It was a display of perfect harmony. Then the vision shifted. Another frog appeared, this one seemingly agitated and out of sync with its surroundings. It sat by the same puddle, but its posture was tense. When this frog croaked, its call was jarring, a discordant note in the evening's calm symphony. The effect on the water was immediate and starkly different. The ripples that erupted were chaotic and messy, splashing against the edges of the puddle in a disorganized frenzy. They did not return to their source, they simply dissipated into a state of turmoil, leaving the water disturbed and unsettled. The contrast was a powerful lesson, illustrated in the simplest of terms for the king to understand. This simple act of a frog's croak was a profound metaphor for something much larger. It was a clue about the nature of frequencies and resonance. The first frog, in tune with its environment, created harmony. Its croak was a frequency that matched the natural vibration of the world around it, and the result was a beautiful, ordered pattern where energy flowed effortlessly and returned to its origin. The vision hinted that within every living being there exists a unique frequency. Perhaps it suggested this was connected to the pineal gland, a tiny crystal-like structure in the brain which ancient wisdom has often called the third eye, capable of tuning into the universe's vibrations. In Ruth, the keeper of the keys, this concept was magnified. Her pineal gland, the vision implied, must contain crystals of unparalleled purity, allowing her to exist in a state of perfect resonance with the fundamental frequencies of creation. This is why she could hold the keys to such powerful realms without being consumed by them. She was in harmony. The discordant frog, on the other hand, represented chaos. Its internal frequency was out of step with the world, and its actions, no matter how small, only created more disorder. The vision was teaching David that harmony isn't a passive state. It is an active alignment of one's own energy with the energy of the universe. This elegant demonstration of ripples in a puddle served as a gateway to understanding an even grander concept, the butterfly effect. This is the idea that a small, seemingly insignificant event, like the flutter of a butterfly's wings, can set in motion a chain of events that leads to a massive and unpredictable outcome, such as a hurricane on the other side of the world. The vision of the frogs proved this principle in a beautiful and tangible way. The single harmonious croak brought calm and order, while the single discordant croak brought chaos and disarray. Each small action had a definite, observable and far-reaching consequence. King David saw this principle expand outwards from the puddle to touch everything. A kind word spoken by Nathan could ripple through his community, inspiring acts of generosity that would in turn spread further, creating a wave of positive change. Conversely, a moment of anger or fear from a single individual could send out ripples of discord that soured relationships and created conflict, escalating in ways no one could have predicted. The vision made it clear that no action is ever truly isolated. Every thought, every word, and every deed sends vibrations out into the world, contributing either to the symphony of harmony or the noise of chaos. The vision of Ruth and her keys now made perfect sense. Her state of harmony was not just for her own benefit, it was crucial for the stability of the world. If her inner frequency were to become discordant, the immense energies she governed could be unleashed in a chaotic and destructive way. Her every breath was like the harmonious frog's croak, sending ripples of stability and order into the very fabric of reality. This is the ultimate expression of the butterfly effect. The internal state of one being, holding a critical position, could determine the fate of heaven, hell, and everything in between. It is a lesson in the immense power and responsibility of every individual. Ultimately, King David's vision was a profound teaching about our place in the universe. It tells us that we are all like the frogs by the puddle. We have the choice to live in harmony with the world around us, or to exist in a state of discord. Our actions, no matter how small, are the croaks that send ripples out into the world. The vision encourages us to seek that inner calm, to attune ourselves to the beautiful, natural frequencies of life. For in doing so, we contribute not to the chaos, but to the magnificent, ever-unfolding symphony of existence. And that perhaps is the greatest power any of us can ever hope to wield.